Hello everyone, and welcome to this special edition of Heart of HLGU. I'm Taylor Lewis. In this holiday season, we hear a lot about miracles, and no one has a bigger miracle story than Katie Lynn's. Many of you probably already know the story of a Quincy woman who was hit on Highway 19 near Center, Missouri. Katie's story was picked up by several national media outlets. Her story reminds us of what can happen when we have the courage to pray out loud.
Okay, so for people who don't know what happened, can you tell us what happened the day of the crash?
It was August 4th on a Sunday morning. I was driving from my home in Quincy, Illinois to Jefferson City in Missouri where I had an internship. And I was on Missouri Highway 19 between Center and Perry when the accident occurred. And I didn't know quite what had happened right at the time, but I was in a big state of shock, obviously, and I didn't know if it was real life or what had happened, but the people who had been driving behind me came up to the scene of the accident and told me that it was indeed a car crash and I was trapped in my car.
What was going through your mind right after the wreck?
Well, at first I didn't really know what had happened, but then once they told me, I asked if they would call my mom and also if someone would pray out loud with me, just to hear the comforting words and to know that God was with me when I needed Him most, and just to have someone there to me to support me.
Who was the man who stepped forward to pray with you, and how did he influence the situation?
Father Patrick Dowling was the priest who came forward to pray with me, and he wasn't even supposed to be in the area at the time, so it was not a coincidence that he was there. And one of the law enforcement officials came up to the scene and asked if I would want a priest to pray with me, and of course I said yes because I knew I needed all the prayers I could get. And he prayed with me, and then I asked him to pray for my leg because I had 2 compound fractures, which I did not know at the time. And so it was just amazing that he was there and that he disappeared when no one saw him leave, and he wasn't in any of the pictures that they took, and could not find him for a week after the accident, but I'm so thankful he was there.
What was it like being able to meet him after the wreck?
It was very neat. He came to my home for my 20th birthday, and we got to have a reunion, and it was so nice to meet the man who was there and stepped up and just did his job as a priest. He prayed for me in my time of need, gave me comfort and kept me calm, and just allowed all the rescue workers and the paramedics to know that they were calm too during that whole time.
How has faith played a role in your experience?
Well, my faith was what got me through from the very beginning, and I called out to God when I needed Him most, and I know that God is always there for me, but there it was an unimaginable situation, and I knew that I would not have survived if I had not reached out to God in my time of need.
What have you learned, and how have you grown as a person through all this?
I've learned to always put my trust in God, because obviously this was a dire situation and I was very close to death. So I've learned to trust Him. I've always grown up knowing this, that you put your trust in God with the little things and the big things, and even if it's something that it's small and insignificant and you don't think that, oh, God doesn't need to help me with this, I've got it. You really do, because He can take things and make them better than you could even ask or think.
Your story's been picked up by national media. So what do you want others to take away from your story?
I think the faith aspect is the biggest part of the story, because I could not have survived without it. And I asked every person who talked to me during the accident to pray out loud with me, and I think that that's the message that needs to be conveyed through all of this, because while I believe that prayer is valid, whether it's silent or spoken, I think that spoken prayers and praying out loud really shows the world that you're not ashamed of who you are and your faith in Jesus. And I think that really tells a message of hope and encouragement through others, whether you yourself are speaking it or others are listening to it.
As Katie continues to recover, her Christmas wish for the holiday season is what most of us her age take for granted: a chance to get back to her life as a normal college student. Brittany Johnson talks with Katie about her road to recovery.
So recently, you survived a major accident. Can you tell us how long it's been since the accident?
It's been 15 weeks since the accident, and I am progressing very well, better than my surgeon could have hoped, so I'm thrilled with that. I'm so glad that I was able to have such great medical care and that I can really push myself to get better.
If you don't mind, can you explain a little bit about the injuries you got from the accident?
It was a head-on collision, and I was trapped for 2 hours and 10 minutes. The rescue workers could not extricate me from the car easily, so I sustained 15 broken bones, including 2 compound fractures in my leg. I have 3 rods, 2 in my one in my right femur, 1 in my left femur, and 1 in my right tibia. And I also have a plate and screws in my left wrist, and I had 9 broken ribs. And then I also had some internal organ damage, which I thankfully did not have to have surgery for. I had a bruised lung, a lacerated liver, which was level 1, and a lacerated spleen, which is level 3.
Since then, how are you working to get back to your ideal health?
Sure, I was in the hospital for 5 weeks, and during those 5 weeks I spent 3 in the rehab unit. So that was all about getting me back to walking and doing normal activities, just like dressing myself, showering, bathing, all of that. And I did very well there, and since I've left the hospital, I've been in therapy. For physical therapy, I've been there 5 times a week. It's about an hour and a half every session, and then occupational therapy 3 times a week, an hour each session. And they pushed me very hard, but I know I would not be where I was, where I am today without that.
So, what are some of the biggest challenges you have faced so far?
Sure. When I first got out of the hospital, I could use a walker, but for going out in public, I needed a wheelchair. So I have transitioned from not being able to walk at all to a wheelchair to a walker, and now I have a cane. But very soon I will be able to not use my cane unless I feel like I need it or am uncomfortable.
Can you tell us a little bit how you and your family are coping with the recovery time?
I'm very blessed to have a family who's so supportive, and my parents are wonderful. They do anything that I need, and my siblings, they give me a hard time about it, but I know that they're just so happy to have me here, and we like to tease each other. So that's how we cope with that. And getting through the accident, it's been challenging because most of my friends are away at school, so definitely Cardinal baseball was something that really kept my spirits up, and I'm just so thankful to have a family that really does anything I need, especially during this time.
During the recovery stage, do you have any goals that you set for yourself?
Well, my main motivation is to get back to school. I go to Tulane in New Orleans, and I'm a public health major there. I love it down there. I'm in orchestra. I have friends down there, and that's my main motivation for getting back.
How do you look to live your life after you've fully recovered?
When they pulled me out of the car and I was in the helicopter, they had to decide to take me to Quincy, which was a 10-minute flight, or Columbia, which is a 30-minute flight. And they chose Quincy because they didn't know that I would last the 20 extra minutes that it took. And I think that really puts things into perspective, because that's not even a TV episode. 20 minutes is not much time. And I'm just so thankful that I survived this and can come out without any brain injuries, and I can go back to school, and I've only missed 1 semester. So I think that really just puts a big perspective on my life about how to enjoy life to the fullest, because you never know when something drastic can change your life.
What message do you hope people get from your huge story?
I think that just holding strong to your faith and calling out to God in your time of need, whether it be something small every day or whether it be something huge like a life or death situation, just knowing that God is always there for you and He always will be.
Most of us on HLGU's campus know that our motto is knowledge for service. But what does that look like in real life? Bryce Kelly introduces us to one alum who is living out that motto. That story starts with the benefit race in Iowa, but makes an impact all over the world. Here's Bryce with more.
People in the little town of Deanville, Iowa were up early on Saturday, October 5th. That's because as the sun rose over the cornfields, people here at Harmony Bible Church were ready to run. Harmony's annual 12-1 Run and Race Expo had people from all over Southeast Iowa warmed up and ready to stretch their muscles, and it was all for a good cause. Runners, walkers, volunteers, and even a few stroller-bound kids came out to support Harmony's efforts. The race provides water units to people groups that don't have access to clean drinking water.
Yeah, I just want to say what a great event this 12-1 run is, not only for the cause of raising up water units for the impoverished nations, but also obviously getting the gospel out to those nations as well.
Harmony Bible Church senior pastor Chris Carr was also a runner in this year's race. Carr says the annual race is not only a great way for Harmony Bible Church to love on others, but it is also a great way to promote biblical truths to all that attend.
12-1 comes from Hebrews 12:1, which talks about running the race with perseverance.
At the helm of the run is HLGU alum Libby Samples. Samples is a 1997 graduate of HLGU. She is also this year's 12-1 run director, and she says she is honored to be part of such a mission-focused event.
I know that within each of us, God has given us passions, and that this is a passion of mine.
This year's run brought in hundreds of runners and walkers, which meant that Samples had her hands full, but she says the end result is always worth it.
The past 3 years we've made about $30,000 or just over $30,000 each year. So each water unit costs $500 and is good for 5 years and can provide clean water for potentially 5,000 people.
Recently, Samples published a children's book entitled Why We Run to celebrate her association with the race. In the book, Samples writes about the importance of running the race of life with God and how helping others in need can show the love of Christ in so many ways.
It parallels two little girls. One girl is here in the United States and she's learning how to run, and she's going to take a part in the 12-1 run. So she's learning what the 12-1 run does. And another little girl is named Aaliyah, and she lives in Africa, and she needs clean water.
Even though this year's 12-1 run is over, its results continue to impact people all over the world. With the money raised from the 12-1 run, Harmony will be sending mission teams to give clean drinking water and the love of Jesus to over 500,000 people worldwide. Congratulations, Libby Samples, on all your hard work and dedication to such a wonderful event. Reporting from Harmony Bible Church's 12-1 run, I'm Bryce Kelly.
For sports fans, the winter season means that high school football is coming to a close. But for two small towns in northeast Missouri, the spirit of football is a year-round obsession. Our own Kelly Black heads back to her hometown to tell us about the Bell Game, a long-standing small-town rivalry that got the attention of USA Today.
9 miles is all that separates the best high school rivalry in the nation. For one night, two towns come together and battle head-to-head in what's known as the Bell Game. If you think this is just another rivalry, you're wrong. What makes this rivalry significantly different from the rest is the tradition, emotion, and history it holds, dating clear back to 1922. Generations from both communities have either been a part of or played in the annual Bell Game and know the importance it holds. But for the first time on September 13th, 2013, the rest of the nation got to hear the bell ring.
The Bell Game, the nation's best high school football rivalry.
Brookfield coach Dave Shaw says the USA Today honor sets this year's Bell Game apart from the rest.
A lot more publicity throughout the newspapers and radio. It's a compliment paid to both communities, Brookfield and Marceline, for at least coming together for that and winning that.
Over 1.7 million votes were cast for the Brookfield versus Marceline rivalry. Both communities spend days preparing for the big game, from decorating local businesses to the Bell Game assembly.
The night before the Bell Game, we would have a bonfire, and we would stuff a bulldog and throw it in the bonfire.
But this game, packed full of history, was almost lost in 2004 due to scheduling conflicts.
Over the years, there have been times when it looked like the Bell Game was going to be no more. We've had to sacrifice a conference loss in the two different conferences that we've been to play the game.
A game filled with incredible emotion provides both good and bad memories that last far beyond the years of high school. Shaw recalls a few coaching moments.
A couple extremes, I'll give you examples. I can remember getting beat 58-0 and looking for any little hole to crawl into. And then I can remember winning 48-0 and holding them to no first downs.
Not only do those involved have vivid memories of the bell game, but so does any student who has walked the halls of BHS or MHS in nearly the past century. Former Brookfield High School graduate and now elementary school teacher Linda Shaw reflects on past bell game experiences as well as current ones.
Bell game week is a huge week at our school. The kids, even the kindergartners and the preschoolers, make posters and signs for the high school players. They really look up to them.
The USA Today contest may have made this rivalry better known across the nation, but as for anyone who has stepped foot in Linn County knows, this tradition will live forever.
The rivalry's been so long and it'll always be there, and the people of both communities will never let it die. And that's the only way to explain that.
The final score may fade and the athletes will graduate, but the pride and memories made as a Bulldog or a Tiger will last a lifetime. Reporting for TNN, I'm Kelly Black.
By now you probably know that our HLGU men's soccer team finished just shy of an AMC championship. The guys lost the title to Park after a heartbreaking game that ended in a 3-3 tie. What you may not know is what happened after that game. DeAndre Jackson tells us how many of these players were back in the gym the next day to help coach some future Trojans players. Here's that story.
On Saturday mornings, when most college kids are sleeping in, a group of HLGU men's soccer players make a commitment to train and equip a group of young kids. At Northeast United Soccer Club, soccer players of all ages are coached by HLGU's best. Kids learn soccer skills and more about the culture of many international coaches. Pepe Jonquiro from Brazil says it's a rewarding experience.
I enjoy a lot being a coach in this academy because these kids, they are great. So we can learn a lot. We can exchange like culture and stuff. So it's an amazing experience for us.
The student athletes are volunteers and participate because they love the program. They like to share stories about their culture. At the end of every session, kids gather together for a little life lesson. And it's not just the kids who learn new things.
It's great to volunteer and help little kids because you learn a lot from them. Like you learn a lot teaching. More than playing, you learn teaching.
The kids make a great impact on the HLGU coaches, and they are impressed with how the kids' soccer skills develop.
They are really improving a lot, every skills. And as I say, I've been here for 4 years, and I said, guys, like really didn't know anything about soccer, and now they are moving the ball just like good players, you know, like good professional players.
With the skills that the kids are learning on the weekends, they say it gives them the edge in competition.
Some of my friends, they've not been able to make teams, and they've come here, and then maybe a few years later they've been able to make the team because of being here.
Marcelo Beroiza, owner of Northeast United, tells us why he wanted to start such an outstanding soccer academy.
The main reason is because we used to go to tournaments and see soccer all around in San Luis, Colombia, you name it, but there was not enough, I guess, the passion or the culture about it. The kids just play in a tournament, they don't play anywhere else. And where we grew up in South America or in Europe, you play soccer all the time in your neighborhoods, in your park. So we kind of brought the street soccer, the park soccer, all that culture to a setup like this in a gym.
To learn more about the Soccer Academy, you go to www.nusoccer.com. Reporting for the Trojans News Network, I'm DeAndre.
Normally, fine arts and sports don't go together. But Sam Johnson tells us about one HLGU senior who isn't afraid to blend those two worlds together. Here's that story.
There are two things that Ian Sykes loves, baseball and art. And it is no surprise that when this college catcher takes off the gear, he uses the game of baseball to inspire his artwork.
Because I've done a lot of Cardinals, have seen them, and they've liked them. And Colton Wong and Michael Waka actually have paintings that I've done because they've requested them.
For those of you who aren't baseball fans, Colton Wong and Michael Waka both play for the St. Louis Cardinals. Sykes got his start in the baseball art world by painting images to raise money for a variety of good causes. Through a friend of a friend, Sykes teamed up with various professional athletes to paint a picture of them in which they would sign. The painting was then auctioned off for a charitable cause.
I've done David Freese, Colton Wong, Michael Waka, and all these guys have signed these, and he'll auction them off at the foundation.
Not only are his subjects unique, but the style Sykes uses when painting causes his work to stand out.
I didn't choose to work this way, it's just kind of how I work, and it comes from my detailed drawings like this, and when I paint, I have to work quick. Well, I'll start with, I'll do a sketch and kind of work from a sketch, and then I'll take the sketch and put it onto canvas, and so that just means I'll do rough gesture drawing on the canvas with paint, and I work with two colors. I work with a bright color and a darker blue color, and just to kind of push and pull colors. And then as I continue and as paint's dry, I create depth and try to create a sense of three-dimensional on the canvas. I don't really mix the paints on the palette. I just try to work as quick as I can and blend the paints as I put them onto the canvas. And I think that kind of creates texture, so I try to sculpt with paint.
Sykes says with any luck, his baseball-themed paintings are something he hopes to continue in the future.
I'm trying to figure out how to move forward with that and possibly get licensed by MLB and sell those, maybe for a living.
For more information on Ian Sykes and his artwork, you can visit his website at www.iansykes.com. Reporting for TNN, I'm Samantha Johnson.
That's all the time we have for this edition of Your Heart of HLGU. From all of us in the Broadcast Project class, we wish you a very Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. I'm Taylor Lewis, and thanks for watching.